created an elegant and practical system. Plaza is framed by Constellation Boulevard, an avenue of the stars. In New York City, the Tribute in Light was last illuminated on September 11, 2011, to honor the original Twin Towers designed by Minoru Yamasaki. The most powerful shaft of light ever projected into the night sky consisted of 88 lights, arranged in squares emulating the shape of the Twin Towers. Yamasaki described his World Trade Center plaza as, quote, a mecca, a great relief from the narrow streets and sidewalks of the surrounding Wall Street area, end quote. Architect Laurie Kerr says, quote, true to his word, Yamasaki replicated the plan of Mecca's courtyard by creating a vast delineated square isolated from the city's bustle by low colonnaded structures and capped by two enormous, perfectly square towers, minarets really, end quote. The bronze sphere at the center of the plaza therefore resonated with the Kaaba. The sphere is made of 52 panels and was motorized to rotate once every 24 hours, representing the number of weeks in a year and the hours in a day on Earth. The sphere was actually named the Great Spherical Caryatid by its sculptor Fritz Koenig. Caryatids are pillars personified as women. The high Priestess tarot card illustrates what the Twin Towers together with the Great Spherical Caryatid symbolized. The High Priestess sits between the twin pillars of Boaz and Jachin. She holds the Torah, and about her pomegranate seeds are arranged in the Kabbalistic Tree of Life pattern. The bottom sephiro in the Tree of Life is the Earth, represented by the Great Spherical Caryatid. The proportions of the Twin Towers match the proportions given in the Bible, describing the pillars of Solomon's temple. It's interesting that the Twin Towers had 110 floors, or 111 counting the roof. The late Rick Clay pointed out that the Twin Towers stood like an 11 and took 11 years to build. September 11th is 111 days until the end of the year. The first plane to hit a tower was Flight 11, which had 11 crew on board. Strangely enough, another tarot card has a resonance with what happened on 9/11. There is much encoded in a pair of dice. When you roll double sixes, you actually have two cubes with several fundamental symbols intertwined. Aside from the obvious sum of 12, the dice can also be read symbolically as 66, 3333, or 1111. The sum of the numbers 1 through 11 is 66. 33.33 times 33.33 rounds to 1111. Reflecting Absence is the name of the memorial created in the footprints of the Twin Towers. It looks like a pair of cubes within cubes, or a dice roll of double ones. If you put the ones down in the footprints, then what is absent? The new One World Trade Center, formerly known as the Freedom Tower, will be the tallest building in the United States when completed. Its height of 1,776 feet echoes the year the Declaration of Independence was signed, and the year the Bavarian Illuminati was formed. 1776 also equals 888 plus 888. The building is like two Transamerica pyramids intersecting as above, so below, if you will, resting on a cubical base. The midpoint of the tower has an octagonal floor plate. This symbolism reminds me of Osiris sitting on a cubical throne in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The layout of the new One World Trade Center adjacent to the National 9/11 Memorial is correlated with the three pyramids of Giza. You can display latitude and longitude in decimal degrees in Google Earth. Latitudes north of the equator are positive, and longitudes west of the prime meridian are negative. The coordinates of one corner of the core of One World Trade Center are as follows. Adding the coordinates yields the sum of negative 33.3 degrees. The sum of the building heights in the New World Trade Center is 6,660 feet. Directly across West Street from One World Trade Center is the tallest building in the World Financial Center, which is known as the American Express Tower. The building was designed by Cesar Pelli, who also designed a very similar building in London's financial centre called One Canada Square. Both structures are square shafts surmounted by pyramids. One Canada Square was the tallest building in the UK until very recently, when the construction of the Shard at 32 London Bridge made it the tallest building. One Canada Square has a floor area of 111,000 square meters, and the Shard has a floor area of 110,000 square meters. One Canada Square has a tuned mass damping pendulum that can sway up to 33 centimeters to offset movements in the building caused by wind. Pelli originally designed One Canada Square to be 864 feet high, but this had to be reduced to 770 feet due to being in the flight path of the London City Airport. Nearby, the Millennium Dome's 365-meter diameter, 52-meter height, and 12 masts echo the days, weeks, and months of the solar year. Back in Manhattan, Dr. Mark Gray discovered that the distance from the tip of the pyramid on the World Financial Center to Cleopatra's Needle in Central Park is 333,000 inches. Amazingly, the building is also oriented with respect to this alignment with the ancient Egyptian obelisk. In the lobby of American Express's corporate headquarters in this building, there is a monument called 11 Tiers, which honors the 11 employees killed on 9/11. It consists of an 11-sided piece of quartz suspended on 11 cables, hovering over an 11-sided black granite fountain, with 11 sources of water splashing in the pool reflecting the crystal. In Volume 1, I showed an alignment starting underwater in the Jack. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. In today's gold prices, 666 talents is equal to approximately $1.11 billion. The Seal of Solomon encodes 666 with 6 inner and outer points plus 6 smaller equilateral triangles. Solomon's name echoes Sol Ammon, the Egyptian sun god. All the rows and columns in the magic square of the sun add up to 111. The sum of the rows or columns is, of course, 666. Perhaps the Egyptian Ennead represents number itself, and the mathematical relationships between numbers 1 through 9 underpin the structure of the atom. Atom is God number 1 of 9. This can be rationalized as 1 over 9 as a fractional part of the whole. 1/9 equals 0.1111, and so on, with eternally repeating ones. Suppose Isis is god number 5. Rationally, she would be 5 over 9, which is 0.5555, and so on. If Osiris is god number 6, his relationship to the whole would be as 6 over 9, or 2/3, which is 0.6666, and so on. Of repetitive single digits encoded into architecture, urban design, and the universe appears to be an expression of the 9 fundamental forces behind creation. Stephen O'Rourke identified a street